Dalila Ali Rajah is a powerhouse neurospicy storyteller. I want to come back to what neurospicy means. An actress, writer, producer, and founder of the Black Queer Joy Movement, named one of the Advocates Entertainers of the Year, and featured in Out Magazine's Out 100. She is a true artivist whose work celebrates visibility and joy. Dalila co-created the queer women's talk show Cherry Bomb, which I so loved and miss, which ran for 5 seasons, and her award-winning short film, Secrets and Toys, has reached over 7.8 million viewers, specifically on an amazing channel called OML.
That you may have heard of.
She also appeared in Grey's Anatomy, 911, NCIS, and Criminal Minds. A force both on and off screen, Dalila brings fire, vision, and unapologetic authenticity to everything she does. And I'm so glad you're here. You're our very first interview. And we have to go rapid fire because Stephen will then kick us off. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So before I jump into, and I only have 3 questions, but I'm always off script. Tell us a little bit about what neurospicy means to you.
So I'm neurodivergent. My brain works different than neurotypical brains, which for anybody who doesn't know what neurotypical means, it's just usually straight, cisgendered, white, heterosexual men who our world is built to how their brains work. And anybody whose brain doesn't work that way sometimes has more challenges, and some of us more than others, to the point where it is considered a disability, like officially. And I am very late diagnosed. My beautiful, also neurospicy young human diagnosed himself after realizing what was going on with him. And then I was like, well, what would make you think that? Like, what symptoms? And then he listed them. And I was like, well, I have half of those and your dad has the other half. And he's like, I know. So like, it was like, oh, I had been not realizing that I'd been just masking and trying to cover up and didn't know why certain things were the way for me that they weren't for others. I just didn't get it. And it enabled me to really let go of a lot of shame, let go of a lot of internalized stigma, to realize that other times when people were like, well, why are you like that? And what's wrong with you? It's like, actually, nothing's wrong with me. My brain just works different than yours. Yeah.
So, and you're obviously out with it because you want to like destigmatize.
Absolutely. This is the thing, most creatives, and actually the number of queer and trans and gender non-binary people who fall under the spectrum of all kinds of neurospicy is exponential. It's something crazy, like I think 1 in 4 or something like that, maybe more. So all of us are walking through the world with a different kind of thinking brain, and some of us are able to mask it more than others. But that takes a lot of energy. Oh, is that a puppy?
Maggie, sorry about that.
No, it's all good. My dog is shaking in the back too, like making little noises. But some of us, and for a long time, I act, hi, sweetness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, how cute are you? Yeah, I can't. Mine is hiding behind me in a little cuddle puddle. But the masking requires a lot of energy, and not like, once I realized what was happening, I started actually preemptively outing myself, just so that people were like, if something seemed weird or if I thought differently or whatever, people knew what place to put it in. It's like, autism, ADHD, there's a whole list, a laundry list of things that you can put in the bucket. But I think having an awareness of like people's needs and like my own, and like because I'm more like of an extrovert and a lot of people are not, who are dealing with this, me being able to say it out loud unapologetically and not have it be something that I'm shameful about, I think leaves room for people to educate themselves about themselves and about other people and about their children, because this almost always runs in families. Like, I think whenever a child gets diagnosed, the parents really should go and get themselves like at least looked at and look and see if there's a possibility, because it's hereditary.
I love that you're doing that. And that just so speaks to the person, human leader that you are. So first question, well, I guess that would be the second question. Can you tell us a little bit about the Black queer joy movement and what inspired you to start it?
Yes. So I'm going to try and keep it tight because I know we're on limited time, but I went to go see Rafiki as a part of Outfest Fusion one year, and I took my trans NB son with me, who I think at the time he was like 14, maybe 15. And we were both watching the film, which is beautiful, by the way. If you have not seen it, you should watch it. It's by this incredible African filmmaker. Gorgeous. And there came a point where the characters were in like a heightened joy moment. And I had the thought like, oh shit, something bad is about to happen. And I didn't say it out loud, but my kid said, shit, they're too happy. Something bad's going to happen.
Wow.
And ultimately, the film is beautiful and is not one of those that you have to worry about like people jumping off the building at the end. So if you're looking for queer joy and like you should watch it. But I was in the lobby and I started crying. I was like, we are a multi-generational, openly queer family with supportive grandparents, cousins, aunties, like that are at that point, some of them in their 70s and 80s. And we still had that thought sitting in a theater full of other queer people at a queer film festival. And I was like, if we're doing that when we watch a movie or a TV show, what are we doing in our lives whenever we feel joy?
Wow.
And again, I just started crying. And I was like, there has to be something that can change this, like where we can rewire and build the muscle and a tolerance for joy, and then a thriving for joy, and then a flourishing for joy. And I was like, okay, in specific, this was a Black story, and it's me and my son are Black. And I was like, okay, let me just look up. I said, I'm sure there's somebody else already doing this work. Let me just look up Black queer joy, see how it can support them. I did this literally in the lobby. And I was like, nothing, crickets. And then I was like, let me see if the Instagram is taken or the website. Also nothing. I was like, in that moment, I bought it. Didn't tell anybody though. I kept it secret for probably like a year and a half that it was me who was running the site, maybe a little more. And I just started looking for images of joy, images of Black queer people in their joyous moments. And I was like, if we see it, then we know it's possible, and we can build a tolerance and build the muscle of being able to be it, because we're taught that that's dangerous for us. Like, don't be too loud, don't be too visible, don't be too happy, otherwise the white supremacists come and get us. That's what like the Red Summer of 1919, where all of those cities, like Tulsa's the one most people know about now, and they only know about it because of Watchmen, most people. But that summer, there were so many cities that got burned down for the same reason. Like a lot of them. There was like almost a campaign in local papers where they kept passing around fake stories that then had people attack these Black towns. And I was like, we've been trained that we're not safe when people see our joy. But what if our joy is revolutionary? And having that, which I think is our resilience, I truly, truly feel that all marginalized communities have done this, but I think in particular Black queer people, just because when you noodle it down, like especially like Black queer and trans people are like in this barrel of like invisibility and a focus for a lot of vitriol. Like we balance on a razor thin blade between rage and grace. And I think what allows that balancing act is the ability to transmute experiences into joy. And to find that connection with each other. And I think the more that we do that, and the more that we build the muscle, and the more that we have that ripple throughout community, the stronger we get. And when I first started looking, what's crazy is I couldn't find, everybody was like in all the photos. Like I kept finding all these photos of like people mean mugging. And I realized like that mask was our protection. It was like, we're strong. We can fight. We can do the things. And people didn't realize the power of what joy could be. But the more I looked for the photos, and the more I posted the photos, and the more people started sending me photos, I started finding more photos of people experiencing joy.
Yeah, I mean, you making me weepy on different levels. One, because I have a Black daughter and I want her to play this on loop, and she carries, now I am weepy. Then she carries a lot of joy with her, but just the idea of, like waiting for the other shoe to drop, like that just
and the thing is,
breaks my heart. Yeah.
Western storytelling is built that way.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like it's because this may be controversial this time, sorry y'all, but like
Don't apologize, please.
Our infrastructure is built, again, around white, cis, heterosexual men who have created a system under white supremacy where they do not need emotional dexterity. They don't need emotional resilience at the same level as other people.
Yep.
They've created a system that allows them to fail up a lot. Even people who have been through trauma, like the ability to move through it doesn't carry all these other monikers on it, right? So a part of sociologically, and this is a real like sociologist out there, I think you'll probably amen on this, but sociologically, we have to, even if we're not experiencing it, part of our society practices things that we might encounter. I think a part of what's happened is because the people greenlighting the stories and the people who are telling things are trying to provide the ability for white cishet men who are in the top of the system to have some sort of emotional dexterity in case something goes wrong and the system fails, right? So like, what if the other shoe drops? Like constantly, the system doesn't do that with them the same way it does with us. They don't need that, but they play it out in watching different stories, which is why I think the rise of the anti-hero and how these stories have consistently gotten darker and darker and darker and darker because there's a need for practice as the levels of disparity of wealth and the disparity around race keep splitting this way, right? We don't need that. We don't need that. What we need is a building of a muscle and a practice that if the other shoe drops, there's a treasure at our feet. If the other shoe drops, there's something we're picking up that we'll carry along on our journey that is giving us resilience. What we need is a remembrance, as most people of color have, that our ancestors are always with us and that death is not the end and that there is like a communal connection with each other that helps hold each other together. Like that's what we need. That's what we need. So like, I feel like this is what fosters that. And I think there is actually, even in a lot of that, like race is a construct, but it's a construct that's perpetuated by our systems, right? Even within the people who are identified as white in our society, that is a construct. Originally, there were cultures that they come from. And I mean, they colonized each other first, but there was a place they came from with culture and spirituality and different languages and things that held them together in a different kind of community than it's held now. And there's a separation that's happened over time. And so I think there's other people seeking that too.
I didn't get through more than
Half your questions. I'm sorry. I was
with you,
trying to
and
do
we
better.
already have to jump off. You need to, like, this is just a small sampling of the magic of Dalila. So when she says multi-hyphenated storyteller, she's not kidding. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And you have to stay very close to Venus. Promise, promise.
Yes, I will. And I think one of my dear friends is coming up next, right?
Haviland is coming up next. Yes.
I don't know if Haviland's in the waiting room, but hey, have fun. Love
All
y'all.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.